Britain kept inventing the future in sheds, and then handing it to somebody else to sell. A steering wheel that got laughed at in 1973 and sits in a Tesla today. A small family saloon that rode more smoothly than a Rolls-Royce. A car so good that a Japanese company bought a few and took them apart to find out why. I have got 10 of them here, and the one at the end changed what a supercar is. Starting with the one the whole country laughed at. In 1973, British Leyland launched the Austin Allegro with a square steering wheel. They did not call it square, they called it quartic, which sounded scientific and meant nothing. There was logic to it. Flatten the top and the bottom, and you can see the instruments over the wheel and swing your legs out under it, which matters in a small car with a high seat. The country was merciless. Comedians used it. Motoring riders used it. Buyers walked into showrooms, looked at it, and walked back out. British Leyland dropped it within 2 years and pretended it had never happened. Now look at the front of a modern Tesla or a Ferrari or any Formula One car built in the last 40 years. Flat top, flat bottom, cut off at the sides. Every performance car maker on Earth eventually decided the round wheel was wasting space. The Allegro was right. It was just right in 1973 in an orange car with a badge nobody trusted. If you have ever changed a starter motor lying on your back in a wet road, this next one will hurt. The Triumph Herald arrived in 1959, and the entire front of it lifted forward on a hinge. Bonnet, both wings, both headlamps, the lot, swinging up and away in one piece and leaving the engine in the open air with room to stand beside it. The same car had a turning circle of 25 feet, tighter than a London taxi. You could turn a Herald around inside the width of an ordinary street in one movement without reversing. Every supercar built today opens with a clamshell front end because it gives access and looks dramatic. Triumph did it on a car aimed at families who could not afford a Ford. This next one you are using every time you touch a steering wheel. In 1948, Alec Isagonis gave the Morris Minor rack and pinion steering. Almost every other family car used a steering box, which turns the wheels through a set of gears and a series of arms and joints. There was slack in it. You turned the wheel an inch and nothing happened. Rack and pinion is a bar with teeth cut into it and a small gear sliding along it. Turn the wheel and the wheels turn immediately, and you feel the road coming back through the rim. Sports car makers knew about it. Putting it on a cheap car for ordinary families in 1948 was the unusual part. Drive anything built in the last 40 years and you are using the Morris Minor steering. In 1962, the Austin 1100 arrived with no springs in it anywhere. Alex Moulton, the man who designed the bicycle with the small wheels, built a system where each wheel sat on a rubber cone filled with fluid and the front and rear units on each side were joined by a pipe. Hit a bump at the front and the fluid pushed down the pipe and lifted the back of the car to match. It stayed level instead of pitching. Road testers put the little Austin up against Rolls-Royces and reported that the Austin was smoother over bad surfaces. The design was refined into Hydragas, and it was still being fitted to the MGF in 2002. Modern performance cars now run interconnected hydraulic suspension and sell it as new technology. A doctor's runabout from Longbridge had it in 1962. Everybody talks about the shape of this next car. The clever part was hidden under the back of it. The Jaguar E-Type arrived in 1961 with fully independent rear suspension, so each rear wheel could ride over a bump without disturbing the other one. Nearly every car on the road, including cars costing 3 times as much, had a solid axle across the back. One wheel dropping into a pothole shoved the other one sideways. Then Jaguar went further. They took the rear brake discs off the wheels and mounted them inboard, next to the differential in the middle of the car. That removes weight from the part of the suspension that has to move, and the less weight that has to move, the faster the wheel can follow the road. Jaguar had taken a racing solution and put it in a road car costing 1/3 of what a Ferrari cost. The next one got bought and taken apart by a Japanese engineering team. The Lotus Elan arrived in 1962 with a spine running down the middle of it. Instead of a heavy ladder frame, Colin Chapman used a folded steel backbone shaped like the letter Y at each end, with the engine in the front fork and the differential in the rear one. The body sat on top and carried nothing. The whole chassis weighed about 34 kilograms.
It handled better than anything else on sale, and owners describe it the same way 60 years later. You think about turning, and the car has already done it. When Mazda set out to build the MX-5 in the 1980s, their engineers bought Elans and pulled them apart to find out where the feel came from. The MX-5 became the best-selling two-seat sports car in history. Lotus made about 12,000 Elans and nearly went under twice while doing it.
Check the badge on any hot hatch from the 1990s, and it will say 16 valve on it somewhere. In 1973, Triumph put an engine in the Dolomite Sprint with 4 valves for every cylinder. Racing engines had done it for decades because more valves means more air in and more exhaust out, which means more power. Nobody had built one cheaply enough for a car a bank manager could buy. Triumph's engineer Spin King found a way to run all 16 valves off a single camshaft instead of 2, and that took the cost out of it. The result was 127 brake horsepower from 2 liters, in a 4-door saloon with wood on the dashboard. Every mass-produced petrol engine on the road today is a 16-valve engine. Triumph got there first, from a factory in Coventry that would be shut within a decade. This next one is not a feature, it is an entire industry. In 1922, Herbert Austin launched the Austin 7, a tiny car for people who had never owned one. It was small, it was cheap, and it worked. Then Austin did something unusual. He licensed it out. In Germany, a company called Dixie built the Austin 7 under license. BMW bought Dixie in 1928, and that licensed Austin became the first car BMW ever sold. In America, it was built as the American Austin, and the firm that grew out of that, Bantam, later designed the original prototype for what became the Jeep. So the first BMW was a British design, and the first Jeep came out of a company set up to build one. Take your foot off everything on a steep, loose descent, and gravity takes over. Brake hard, and the wheels lock, and you slide. Drivers used to be taught to pick a low gear at the top and hope. In 1997, Land Rover launched the Freelander with hill descent control. Press a button and the vehicle uses the anti-lock braking system to pulse individual brakes and hold the descent to walking pace on its own. You steer. That is all you do. It was a world first, and the clever part is that it needed no new parts. The brakes and the sensors were already there for the anti-lock system. Land Rover engineers worked out that the same components could be told to do a completely different job. It is now fitted to almost every 4-wheel drive vehicle sold, including family crossovers that will never see a hill. And the last one changed what a supercar is. In 1992, McLaren finished the F1, the first road car in the world built around a carbon fiber tub. Gordon Murray had spent years in Formula One watching carbon structures survive crashes that would have destroyed anything else. Nobody had put one in a road car because carbon was slow to make, ferociously expensive, and had never been signed off for a car sold to the public. The finished car weighed 1,138 kilograms, with a 627 horsepower BMW V12 behind the driver, who sat in the middle with a passenger on either side and slightly behind. The engine bay was lined with gold foil because gold reflects heat better than anything else, and Murray refused to accept second best on any component. In 1998, an F1 ran at 240 miles an hour, and it held the record for the fastest production car in the world for over a decade. Only 106 were built, and every one is now worth more than a large house. Look at what a supercar is today. Carbon tub, engine behind the driver, obsessive weight saving everywhere. Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche all followed. The template was drawn in Woking. That is the pattern with all 10 of these. Britain thought of it, built it, struggled to sell it, and watched somebody else make the money. If any of these surprised you, tell me in the comments which one you would put at number 1. And subscribe because there are far more of these stories than most people realize.